You know, I gotta tell you, I'm new at this editorial stuff, but every once in a while something comes up and I gotta say something about it. Now, the name Stephen Galloway has come up again and again in the news around these parts. He was a creative writing professor at UBC, University of British Columbia in Canada. He was dismissed in 2015, and the reasons for it were mysterious, at least as far as the public was concerned. Breach of trust or something like that. And why was he let go? It was all very murky. It was whispered about that it was a sexual impropriety, which is what these things normally are. Now, a lot of time went by, and it was still pretty murky what happened. And then the writers, the bastion of Can Lit, 80 different writers who are all part of the top echelon, the creme de la creme, the players, what shall I call them? The really good writers, eh? Really good writers, eh? At least in their own opinion, got together and decided to write an open letter to UBC, claiming that Professor Galloway had been ill-used and needed to, UBC had to organize an independent, what's the word? Yeah, investigation of what had happened. Because what they'd done already was just not good enough. It was very one-sided. Professor Galloway's name was mentioned, I believe, 13 times, and the complainant, who was, I guess, the person who was hurt, still very murky, was mentioned once. This ignited a firestorm among the writing community in general, and I believe these 80 bigwigs of who's who of Can Lit were really baffled. They were really surprised that these sort of no-name writers, generic writers, writers with the small presses, which of course we revere. Yeah, right. And of course one of them will win an award once in a while. And I'm not trying to joke that they don't deserve it, because they absolutely do. But those who absolutely do very seldom are the recipients of these big rewards. Doesn't happen often enough. Nor am I saying that these big 80 can't write. Of course they can. But they have a visibility. And they got together in a kind of clump of solidarity. And the signatures were this big block. It looked like a brick building. A brick shithouse is what it looked like. I looked at it and went, oh. And there were names of people on there, of people I knew. Maybe not real well, but I'd had dealings with them. I was a book reviewer for 25 years. I'm a published novelist 3 times, I'm proud of that, with small presses. So I'm kind of in that marginalized group. I hope this is taping all right. God. I'm in the marginalized group. So I found myself on Facebook reading one article after another, counter letters saying we're furious that, injured women who've borne sexual abuse from profs in general, and him in particular, are not being taken seriously or even acknowledged. There was a complainant, and again it was mysterious because this person only spoke out very recently. When there's a vacuum and a dearth of information, we fill it in. And I'm not saying I don't. I'm saying that as human beings, if there's a lack of information, we will put stuff in there. And everybody did. And everyone suddenly was furious, and the establishment, as they're now being called, are just coming out with one thing after another, trying to, I don't know if they're trying to fix it. Maybe they are. I think they're just trying to convince everybody that, whoa, wait a minute. We're right. Shut up. They would like it if everybody else fell into line, because for God's sake, why aren't they more grateful? For God's sake, we've got what they want. And the ironic thing is, to some degree, that's true. The younger writer who has great ambition and wants to be published, I understand that totally, wants to try to make a living. as a writer. I understand that totally. How few can do it? In order to do that, don't you have to like go to university? Don't you have to like connect with other writers who maybe have what you want? And don't some of these people, especially young people, idolize these writers and look up to them? And look what's happening now. It's better not to idolize because everybody has feet of clay. Everybody. My thing, and I have a couple of things. One is not being listened to when there's been sexual abuse. And guess what? That's my issue too. Nobody listened, and the wagons went in a circle, a tight circle that would not admit me. And there was a sense of, do you want to be in this family or not? And I'm hearing that again. In a funny sort of a way, not funny sort of a way, horrible sort of way, an echo of that. Do you want to be in this family or not? And I'm going to make an offer you can't refuse, you know. Margaret Atwood makes a poor godfather. But that's what she's doing. And she's really old school, and that's really coming out. She claims to be, oh, but I've done this with women, I've done that for women. And she came out and said Galloway is indigenous. Who knew? And it's a way of kind of saying, well, he has native, if you'd like to say it that way, blood. He's not a rich white man. You've been wrong all the time. He's Aboriginal. Shut up! This stuff is all being used as ammunition. The other thing is mental health. Don't get me started, because that's my issue too, and I'm going to be talking about that if anybody listens. Because I'm bipolar and I have lots of things to deal with every day of my life, and I won't shut up. Mental health issues. Galloway apparently was in a bad way when the news hit. He was out of the country, but he was emailed by UBC telling him he was fired. What a crap thing to do. What a stupid thing. UBC has dropped the ball at every turn. This was bad. And apparently there's a murky episode around that. Murky. And nobody who describes it was there. He tried to commit suicide and was, somebody took him to a mental hospital to stop him. That's one version. He said he didn't feel well, and a friend of his told the cops, take him in. They put him in irons and dragged him into a mental ward. According to Margaret Atwood, they threw him in a mental hospital. I like that. There was a sort of Gulag archipelago feeling to this, a Solzhenitsyn feeling to this. Like, look at this martyr. He's being dragged off to a place he doesn't belong in. With those people? There really was a sense of that. Like, oh my God, this famous writer, he's in with a bunch of lunatics. It is to laugh. So anyway, lately it's been, he had another suicide attempt. One of his close friends, I was putting this in that comment down on Facebook. One of his close friends says, well, I'll have you know, ladies, you're the one who drove him to his suicide attempt. It's kind of like, what? He said, well, he's in the hospital right now. He tried to kill himself. Are you satisfied? And I thought, one of the things I thought is, does Stephen Galloway want everybody to know that right away? If he does, isn't it up to him to say something? I'm not saying it's bad to be there. I've been there myself. It's private. It's touchy. Obviously, people have stupid reactions to it. Just stupid. So anyway, this Brad Cran, fucker, blew the whistle and said that as a way of helping his friend. This stuff is just getting worse and worse. People are trying to help. They're not trying to help. I don't know what the solution is. The whole system seems rotten to me, but the elitism, along with the sexual abuse stuff, the elitism really hurt me because I was in the book review field for many years. It's all been forgotten, of course. I have 3 novels with small presses, and I'm very proud of my work. All that just seems to disappear. Those are aspiring. I'm called an aspiring writer. because I'm not with a big house, and because I'm not a who's who, and because I didn't sign a letter like that, I'm an aspiring writer. I started writing when I was probably 8, and I hate to tell you how old I am now. I aspire to being a better writer and writing with more clarity and more passion, and I aspire to get rid of my fears and overstep pomposity. That's what I aspire to. So in that sense, I am an aspiring writer. But why is it my whole body of work, why does the trap door open up when something like this happens? I'm one of many hundreds who work very hard to turn out the very best writing we can in whatever field we're in. Fiction, poetry, nonfiction, reporting. There's so many things. We all do our level best. And we're not being acknowledged, and that's one of the many things that's come out around this whole bloody mess. So I don't know what to do, because those who need to be educated are like, they're not listening, and they just are appalled that people like me don't, why aren't we more grateful? I don't know. No, I'm not. And to the Ken-lit bigwigs, I don't want to be you. I don't want to be you if that's what it's like to be a bigwig. I'd rather be who I am and keep my integrity intact.